Thanks to Captain Wayne Davis from Station 3 for instructing.
There's three basic components of the system: the bridle, the system, the haul system, and then whatever your patient's on, whether it's on the evac harness that we put on, rescue truck, where we have the rescuer's harness, or we have patient care device, whether it's a Stokes basket, the skid, or the Yates is another one you may have seen. Have y'all seen the Yates spec pack? So you know what a KD is?
Yeah. It's
a KD on steroids, because it has a hook on the top that we can put on, and it does the same thing. It just allows us to pick them up. But really, like I said, it's going to be situation specific, but y'all just need to make sure y'all are proficient with this stuff and going over this stuff, especially with your knots and all that, because it's a perishable skill, and if you don't practice it, you will lose it. But for starters, just to go over everything. For the bridle system that goes on the tower, you just clip in to the eyelets, and then you just rotate them around. So they'll end up sitting up there like so. As you can see, it gives it a bigger area for the rope and the cruise to bite onto. And then once you clip this in, you'll clip in your system underneath. You have a bull ring here, and then you have the system tied in with 5/8 inch rope. And then you have these prusiks here, which are used to help alleviate the load being on the knot all the time. Have y'all seen rope that's been tied in a knot and put under load over and over and over? I mean, it's just solid. You can't even take it apart.
Yeah.
What the idea with the prusik is we can essentially bypass the stress on that knot a little bit, because it's going to hold on the prusik and not onto the knot itself.
So there should be no modifications made whatsoever to the bridle system.
No, there's no need to.
It's simple.
It's done. Let's take it out and clip it in. That's essentially how it should be done.
We want to always keep something, just a hair slack.
So what I always ask people to do is that when you come in here to put this in, you're going to come in, clip it in, and then rotate it around. Okay, like so. So what you'll notice is, say this is moving and vibrating or whichever, and it's in the open position, it's going to drift down into a locked position. Okay. So if I put it in a locked position, it's just going to stay where it's at. Now if I have this carabiner the other way around, and we go through that same vibration, it'll go and it'll vibrate open. That's why you'll notice that we'll always keep our screw gates so that they point down. Does that make sense? Okay? We don't have to crank these things down, we just have to put it at the, usually we go to the end and we back off just a little bit so it's loose. Give it a pull on it and see if make sure it's locked. Part of your system safety check before you put this in operation. This right here, what we always talk, we just take it and grab about a handful. Just enough to keep it off. And then you'll need to measure a little bit and make sure it's not one side or the other. I mean, it's going to settle a little bit over time with the knots tightening up around the rope, but essentially we want to keep this centered with the truck. We're on our prusik here, not on the knot itself. The other good thing about prusiks here is these are going to slip at 1,000 pounds on each side. So 1,000 pounds, it's 2,000 pounds here. So the idea is that if you start seeing these slip, you're doing something wrong. Okay? And they're going to warn you. Like they're going to start sliding. They'll spread out and they'll just look really crazy, and then they'll slide. And then they're just going to transition onto the knot. And they'll be on the rope. Rope's rated at 12,500 pounds.
On each side or total?
Each leg. Because if I had this loaded up and I cut one of the legs out, I still got one left. That's the other idea behind two separate pieces of rope going into the bull ring, is that if one side fails, the other side will be able to capture it.
So what's your max weight that you feel safe enough?
For systems? Okay. When it comes to systems, we do two-person load is what everything's rated at, which is 600 pounds. That's all rope rescue. You don't put more than 2 people on a system. You can put 1, you can put 2, but not 3. So that's your victim and your rescuer, because we just don't do that. It's unsafe, and you can easily overload the system. The idea too is the distance between these two. You'll notice this makes a triangle, right? So we have to keep this within 90 degrees. Anything greater than, if we start widening this out, the force that's seen on these 2 legs increases. You may have a 600-pound load here, but you will start getting like 1.5 times on each leg. It's something they call a vector force. Like if you had a rope that was tight and you were to pull on it, you notice it lifts it up real easily. That's that vector force. Once you get that thing to because that rope's going to be at a 180-degree angle, once you pull on that rope and it starts coming down like this, you start losing that advantage. Okay? So we want to keep this in 90 degrees, and that was done by measuring the eyelets from distance and then measuring down. So we keep this, it's actually less than 90 degrees. Any questions about this so far? Okay. So once you have this part set up, you can attach your system now, or you can go ahead and put your system into, or go ahead and put your bucket where you need to, and get ready to put your system on there. But I wanted to keep it simple, so done. It's auto locking carabiners, so you don't have to worry about them locking. The reason we put auto lockers is if we have to get this at a high position, I can operate this with one hand if I need to, if I have something in this hand, or if I just have limited mobility. But it's done. The system's already pre-rigged. What you need to do as a station, just go over it, look at it, make sure it's not undone, damaged, twisted, tied up, or whatever. And then operating the system, there's a lever right here. Just clip your load in, you're done.
So is that lever?
Lever's right here, and then you have this daisy change rope. The idea is that this is the reason why we put this style system on the towers, is when this thing gets raised up into position, I could be a ways from the hole and actually operate the lever.
So the lever has to be pulled in order for it to
It'll lock up if it's not.
go down.
Because this should sit about here. As soon as you put a load on there, it locks up and it says release. This is a newly released block and tackle system from CNC. So they redesigned it, made it lighter out of their new materials they use in their pulley systems. It swivels on the top, so to prevent you from having this thing bind up or putting a swivel here and having to add another carabiner. But yeah, that's essentially that system.
What's the load limit on that pulley?
Pulleys, I want to say it's around 40. Let me see here. Yeah, it's 46 kilonewtons. So figure in 1 kilonewton equals 225 pounds. So do the math. It comes out to about 9,000 something. It's gonna be hard to break it. Your half-inch rope's rated at 9,000. This is rated at 12.5. Pulley systems, all that. I mean, this bull ring's rated around 12.5, 13. Carabiners have to be over 40 kilonewtons. So, I mean, they're kind of all within a pretty close range of each other. But, I mean, essentially, yeah, your rope could be, because it is something that's fabric or textile. If it gets bound, the way that this system works, comparative. Y'all play with Gibbs before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you remember a Gibbs, Gibbs grabs a section of the rope about that big. This thing, what it does is this is releasing the pulley. The pulley just wedges up. So you're getting more contact space with the rope and the braking mechanism. So that's less likely for it to focus in on one area and pinch and damage the rope. But our job's not to overload the system because we know better, right? Then once we get this out and we'll set it up and put that, if we got some hose or something, we could throw it in that basket, or if y'all got a dummy here, we can throw it in there. Because we can go over a little bit of patient packaging stuff. We'll go over just how to operate it, haul team stuff, because that's the other part of it. Is that you got to learn how to be a haul team, haul set, haul slow, stop, slack, all that stuff, and what to do when we operate the system. So the orange rope is the pre-rigged walking tackle. It's 300-foot long, half-inch rope. The red rope is 200-foot long, half-inch rope. It's not pre-rigged. The blue rope is half-inch, 200-foot long. It's not pre-rigged either. And then the white rope is a pre-rigged piggyback 4-to-1. It's 200-foot long and half. The Aztec 4-to-1. Okay, it's got accessory cord here, 2 micro pulleys. This is what you would do that with, essentially. This takes that block and tackle that on the truck and makes it much smaller for the individual to use.
So that's just for putting someone down a hole or something?
It's a 4-to-1. Do with it what you feel, kind of thing. But for Stokes basket and tending, it's great. So you I don't have an extra carabiner for your system. You would have this thing flipped in into here, and this would go down to your tender. Okay? So go there, you go from the cell basically down. It's a lot easier doing a 4-to-1 on yourself than having to bustle it.
So how do you lock it in place, or is it soft lock?
It's just need to get it cut over here. So we just take another carabiner.
No, I meant how does it keep it from extending?
Oh.
So is there locks?
We have 2 crucibles that adjust to prevent it from going one way or the other. So if you look, you just see kind of how which.
Okay.
They've really gone pretty far in making this, I hate to say idiot-proof, but you notice the color of this crucible?
Yeah.
The color of this pulley? Notice the color of this crucible and this pulley? Pick one, depending on which way you need this to travel or not travel. But as you see, as I extend it, it pulls away from the opposing pulleys. So no matter if you're close to the top or close to the bottom, you can set this. But you just have this thing pinned in. Once you get it down far enough so you can get on and then make your adjustment up, just have this clip in. It stops moving.
Got fancy.
And you just sit here and pull this, squish these together. One thing I forgot to mention about Brucings, remember what happens when they get loaded up? They separate out.
Yeah.
So if we need to get off the system, squish them back together, and then it'll slide. But it just, when it separates like this, it's going to be difficult. Now, if this thing's separated out, and you have a significant load on the other end of this rope, you need to get the load off of this before you go and push this together, because we don't want to drop it. We don't want to lose our progress. That may be another term you hear. These are considered progress capture devices. Like I said, it's a little micro 4-to-1. These work great in RIP too. Because imagine using this in a fire to pull a down fireman out. That's what we're trying to get more of them out here, like in our RIP dogs. The other end of this, this is just a keyword anchor that we need to tie off the system. And it's the same thing. This gets a little bit crazier with its broomstick, so you got some rock climbing and stuff going on here with you're seeing. Prusik on a Prusik on a Prusik kind of thing. But it's the same concept. It's just what they're doing is one, this right here protects the rope. This right here is a backup. And can also be adjusted with it as well. Just come down here and adjust that, come down here, do a further adjustment. So you would have this thing pulling on this Prusik, which is pulling on this one. So you kind of get two Prusiks. You get that 2,000 pounds. So, that's the one thing about rope. It's always about backup, redundancy. We don't leave it up with just one. Because the same 2 is one is none. Yeah. Same concept. So whenever we all are operating this stuff, everybody's in safety. Everybody needs to check it, make sure it's okay. Take a look at it, make sure the carabiners are ready to go, because it's everybody's responsibility. That's the one thing it's so fun about rescue and Houston. The captain's not really the captain. Chauffeur's really, everybody's equal, because everybody has to rely on each other to do this stuff. It's not my way or the highway thing. It doesn't work out. It's all team effort. Just look good to you, what you think, kind of stuff like that. That's what all this is about. But, so, the other thing is make sure y'all go through this stuff, practice with it, especially the patient packaging, because that's my worst skill, keeping up with it. So, you got your dummy? Yeah. Take your time. Blue to blue, red to red. Yep. You got the adjustment down at the bottom?
Give me a little bit of slack there on the red. Give me some slack on both.
Check your twist, make sure you got everything as much as possible.
You're in.
You want it nice and neat. Whenever your patient's in here, look and see where your stuff's laying on them. Make sure it's not whether it's a broken leg, broken arm, broken this, that, and the other. You don't want to be crushing them down. Make sure they can breathe, because they're going to get real anxious once the sucker gets on the air.
Alright. Want to put the bridle back on it again?
This thing too is like when you're using these, you can leave her out. Because they have to manipulate it again. That's up to the feet, I believe. Whenever you're looking at your bridle here, just look at your straps. Making sure that the same sides are same side and it's not crossed, not twisted. This one's really kind of, you really can't mess this one up. But once we get this thing out, get it up. Remember your threads go down. On these, when you pull that bridle up, check and make sure your rear gates need to be inside. Because this system's a little bit different than some of the other ones. But we don't want it bugging on the edges. Screw gates are down, they're not twisted.
carabiner gates on the inside and down.
You can snap something.
Alright. Everything's good? Yeah, we're good. Alright, we'll go ahead and set this down. We'll get this over here ready to go. Come in, check it out. You can see there's a little bit of it's going to settle down a little bit, so you get an idea where everything sits. It's all important about how this is going to load up. So if you have like a carabiner that's sitting like that on the gate, you know, we don't want that. We don't want it loading up on that gate. Same with here. We want all these as close together up here. We don't want these twisted up. We don't want these in a bind. Okay, go ahead. Get our block tackle system. Y'all have any like tag lines or utility ropes in the trunk?
Yeah.
Okay. Jason, you got it?
Got it. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Anybody want to take it up?
And then imagine if this is your hole or whatever. We can put this stuff here.
You want me to take it up some?
Yeah. Just keep going all the way up and release down.
Tell me when to stop.
Just do the high note.
Good.
Not as far as it'll go, right? Right. This is a lot to lift, if you will. Okay, you go and bring the basket over. We won't need the big carabiners. We can use them if we want instead of the auto locker, but it's just better to be. Okay.
Tagline.
Then we can get along with this one. Find out if we do it. Find out where this is going to sit at.
Nope, 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 nope.
So what we're going to do when we're checking this, make sure we're not off to one side or the other. See how our patient handles.
Normally you want the feet at a slight downward angle.
Yeah, just because it's going to be comfortable for them. Even though it goes kind of against our patient care stuff. But
They can kind of see a little bit.
yeah, 'cause they're going to be freaked out. Especially if this is high angle, whichever. If we're up somewhere high on the water tower. So we just want to keep them down, make sure they're even on both sides. Now the one thing, yeah, that's the other thing we want to look at. We don't want one leg being loose. So pull on it, tighten it up.
So you're going to pull them up and put tension on this before you start your final call.
Yep. This is kind of our our safety check before we go.
Now, do you put the tag line in through when it's carabiners, or you got to tie it off to an end, or does it matter?
What we're going to do, it just depends on where we're going with this and how our situation. We can go end to end, on the side, whichever. So these right here, we're just doing an overhand knot in these. Because we don't want these being able to adjust. Okay. Once these are set, another thing we want to look at too is make sure we want to limit our tag lines hanging out. Any of this stuff just yeah, this is a problem here. You see that? Is what's going to happen. This shaft pop. and it'll scare the shit out of everybody in the basket on the basket. So that was the reason why our strap was like looser on that side. So we're just going to snug it up. This is where this little deal would come into play. Look at that. Just be around you. Another carabiner. Do this in the one I would use, but we just come in, flip into here. It's auto lock the carabiner. We clip it in, and we have to make sure we sit down with it because we want our feet to go underneath the basket. This is the beauty part about this thing. So you'll be down here hooked off to this underneath it, and if you need to make an adjustment, you can come up on it, and you can swing around if you need more. If you need to get around all into the basket, you can. That's what's really great about this. Now, some things that you may see a little bit different when we actually make an incident. We're supposed to have a pelvic harness on here, which is basically pre-done up as a waist and leg straps, and they go to the top with yellow. Those are supposed to be getting kind of phased in. Y'all really need to have some webbing too, so that you can do it. You know, web somebody in if you didn't have this or if something happened to it. But y'all do keep the backboard with this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, the only other thing you may see differently too is also the a safety line going to the patient. Put them in specifically.
Does that run through another hall, secondary hall
Has to be
system?
independent, completely independent. Because the idea is that we need to protect in case the ladder fails, this rope fails, and we don't want our safety rope going with it. Most of the time you'll see safety lines coming straight off of a separate anchor, straight to the person. That's it. They're meant to catch them and prevent them from falling, and then we'll use that piggyback, and it's meant to capture them so that we can get something to them. If we have to, we'll haul off of it. But it may not be preferred. But it's got to be completely independent of everything. But now if you set your haul team up, so we did a test to find out how strong everybody is. Average person pulls 50 pounds. Standing up, all their force into it, 50 pounds, right? So what happens over time when you keep pulling? Get tired. So that number's going to start dropping. So this is a 4-to-1 mechanical advantage. I put in 50 pounds of force into it. I should get 200. My patient is 250. I'm going to be working my ass off to pull him up by myself. So we get 3 and 4 people involved in this. One person will be calling the commands. The other guys will be pulling. Okay? And our commands are going to be prepare to haul slow, haul fast, which we really don't do, or just haul. And then it's going to be stop, set, and slack if need be. So stop, when we do stop, that's our instruction to lock this system off, which we can't with this, but with the other haul systems, we would actually physically either lock it off, set a brake if we needed to do something else, or most of the time it would be if we needed slack, we want to make sure our load's captured, so when we do slack to reset the system, that we don't lose anything. But for this, you won't need that. It'll be more of your prepare to haul slow, and then stop. You're prepared to stop if you're getting close to the edge. You're going to have somebody observing this as it's going up, somebody riding with it, somebody with the haul team. It takes a lot of people to do this because we don't want to mess it up. So, y'all have any questions about this so far? I don't want to make sure I go too far without make sure I don't want to lose anybody. Is it pretty cut and dry as far as There's a million different ways to do this. One that I find is pretty easy and I prefer is that we'll come over here and we'll munner off right here. Because the munner, we can adjust it around. That's the good part of it. Finish this off with the bowler.
There you go.
So finish it off with your bowling. Make your adjustments as needed. The idea behind this is it's going to have a little bit of resistance behind here. As we can see, what happens? Shifts. That's the idea behind it. It's going to give you a little bit, instead of just sliding around there and being at the mercy of this knot or just being free in there. So that's one option for the sides. And really and truly, you really can't go wrong as long as you tie something. Because this is just to hold the patient, the basket from swinging, not necessarily to loop on.